here.
Hello. Hey. So I'm Jeff from Heaven's Metal. We've actually talked before, but never seen face to face. So here you go. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there fine. I know you've been really crazy busy, and I know they've given me a short amount of time, so we're going to jump right into it. I am recording this because I've done this recently. Heaven's Metal. I've started doing videos, a couple YouTube channels, and so I thought, why don't we start doing video stuff for the magazine? And so a couple months ago, I interviewed Jimmy Brown from Deliverance when they reissued one of their records. And recently I did another band from here in the Virginia, D.C. area. So I just thought, hey, let's do a video and, with Michael while we had you. So I thought that'd be a cool way to approach
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Something different,
Absolutely.
And I know you've been, when they showed me the calendar, what choices I had, I know you've been in and out of interviews pretty much all week.
Doing a lot of interviews and other things going on. Obviously the release is today,
yeah, right?
And then not just the album, but we have a video release as well. So that just kind of adds a little extra. I don't want to say stress, but a little extra work. And then we've got a couple of other listening party events going on later today. So today's a very busy day.
Yeah, understandable. Well, I've seen, so I compiled some questions, and then I saw other interviews that you've done recently being posted. I'm like, dang it, they asked the same questions I was going to ask, and so I'm sure you get the same questions all the time. So what I want to do, just starting off, give you the floor. Is there anything that you haven't been asked that you really wish you had been asked that you wanted to talk about the album that maybe hasn't been covered in every interview so far this week?
Man. Not really. I mean, I always leave that up to the interviewer,
right,
the guy asking the questions. I mean, I've asked I've answered a lot of questions so far, but I'm one that answers honestly, and I'm a straight shooter. So if you ask a question, I'll answer it from the heart.
I just know sometimes people don't say they don't get a chance to talk about I really wish we had a chance to broach this topic, So I just want to make sure anything that nobody's missed so far. So. All right. Well, the questions I have. So you promoted this as being pretty much one of the heaviest albums Stryper's done. I've listened to it. It is, it's got a lot more aggression than usual. Do you all approach the recording process with, hey, let's do the heaviest album, or does it just come out that way? Is it just based on how the songs came out, or do you actually make a concerted effort to go heavier, to go a different direction?
Well, when I'm writing the music, I'm always thinking about, where to go and how to get there. When I said heavier, I wasn't necessarily referring to just the music. Because if you listen to the album as a whole, musically speaking, it may not be our heaviest in some people's views or opinions. Our heaviest would be songs like Blood from Above from start to finish, 11 tracks like that, right? Then that would probably be our heaviest.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, what I meant by that is in the feel of the album, the emotion of the album, the music of the album, the lyrics of the album, just everything that's wrapped up into this. It's our heaviest album, in so many ways. And not only is it our heaviest, I've gone as far as to say, and I say this about every album, and I mean it, but I especially mean it about this album at a different level. And that is, I really feel this to be our best album. It's our most powerful album. It makes such a statement in the times that we live in. It's so relevant and so needed. And I really think this album is going to change lives.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have noticed that lyrically, I guess, and you all always have, the Christian-themed lyrics, but I do see this album does seem to be a little more. It does seem to be a little more spiritually engaging from track to track. So that was always cool. You all have done so much in your 36, 37, close to years. You've accomplished a lot of things. What is left on Stryper's? What's on your bucket list? What would you like to see Stryper do? With each album, is it one step closer to some other goal that you want, or are you just, for the love of music and art, continuing to put out solid material?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think it's primarily for the music, the love of the music and what we do. I love what I do, and hopefully I've proved that and shown that, not just with Stryper, but with Sweet and Lynch, with solo albums. I'm always doing something. And I just view it as when I wake up out of bed, I put my feet on the ground, I have another day. I wasn't taken in my sleep yet. I'm still breathing. I'm still alive. And while I'm here on earth, still living, I want to take advantage of every opportunity. Music is my gift, and blessed me with that ability. So I want to use it, and I want to do it. So that's why I keep churning out album after album. Maybe I'll get it. I've released 10 solo albums and I guess 11 official Stryper studio albums. Maybe we'll get I'll get another 10 solo albums in. I can't see Stryper doing another 11 albums, but you never know. We'll have to see. Who knows?
Yeah, so there's no plans at this time to stop. You'd all just taking it a year at a time, basically.
No plans. I mean, if you do the math, we basically turn out an album every 2 years.
Right.
So do the math on that. To get through another 11, you're talking about 22 more years. I'm 57. Robert's 60. So Rob would be 82 years old. I can't see Rob banging on the drums on a new album at 82. But you know what? You never know. Maybe I shouldn't say I can't see that. I need to be more optimistic.
Yeah, what's up with that? Come on, with medicine and everything, everybody's living longer. The Stones do it. Kiss is still doing it.
I tell you, man, I know, and I tell you that would be
none of them are 80.
A real miracle and a real gift. If we're still making music when we're in our 80s, that would be pretty phenomenal. And I guess, Lord willing, it's possible.
Yeah, of course. So has the fan base, do you feel, has been growing? I mean, it just seems like you all, you've got the first era of Stryper, the pre-90s stuff, the 80s stuff, and then you've got the stuff that's been going on the past couple of years. And everybody that I know says that you all just keep getting better and better, that you're progressing so much. So, I mean, what kind of a feedback are you getting from, everybody else? Is it growing? Are you seeing more sales, things along that line? I know the music business.
Well, you can't. That's the thing about our times that we live in, the music world. You can't base growth and success on sales.
Sales, right.
You just can't, because there are no sales. I mean, comparatively speaking, you go back to 1986, 7, 8, we'd release an album in the first week and it would sell 100,000 units. Nowadays, we're very fortunate to sell 10,000 units. So it's been cut, it's
right.
1/10 of what it used to be. So I don't base it on sales. I've learned not to. I base it on the buzz. I base it on reviews. I base it on comments. I base it on when we go and perform, the crowd. I ask everybody, every show, who's seen us, who hasn't. And more hands go up now for the people who haven't seen us than the people who have. So that's what I base it on. We're reaching people. We got new fans. And in my book, we've done our duty. We've done our job at the end of the day, knowing that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, we actually saw you all when you all came to the Outer Banks last summer. Was right in the front of the stage. I'm surprised. I was right there. You didn't see me? Come on. But yeah, a friend of mine, been a Stryper fan since the 80s, huge fan, but that was his first time. I mean, he loves all guys. He sings a little, sounds similar to you. He just, everything, he loves that. And that was his first time seeing you, though. It just never worked out to where you all came. So
he sounds similar to me. So he sounds like a cross between Dennis DeYoung and Liberace as well.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's just, and from all the people I know, he's got the higher range vocal, and so he's always got the higher range songs whenever we play in a band. So
nice.
But I'm a lifelong fan that finally got to see you all. So it's great that that you all are still plugging away out there. So okay, now not the controversy, but okay. So you all kind of on the cutting edge there. You got, and I know you've been asked this before because I thought this is somewhat going to be a cool question. Then I saw somebody else had already asked it. But, so the last album, Goddamn Evil.
Is the question, am I wearing shoes?
Yeah, right. You better have.
No, I'm not.
As long as you got pants on. Pants, good. But, so it seems like recently there's been the little cutting edge controversy, at least for some people, I guess. But the album title for the last album, now you've got, Middle Finger Messiah. At first, I didn't know a lot about it, but I understand, I guess, Robert wrote that. You kind of tweaked it a little bit. So what kind of, if any, kind of backlash are you getting from the, I guess, Christian crowds
None. I mean, when people read the lyrics of the song, it's really not a controversial song. It's just basically talking about how we as a society, shun God. We turn our backs on God, and by doing so, often we flip him off. We basically walk away from God. But this album isn't so much about being controversial.
No,
That's
no,
why
not at
we went with the title "Even the Devil Believes" instead of something like "Goddamn Evil." We wanted to just shy away a little bit more so from the controversial thing, and that's why a lot of the songs are just straight ahead, man. There's not a twist to the lyric or something like, what's that all about? There's just not a lot of that on this album.
And I know that overall, the church is always seems to be, I mean, they got to find something wrong with something, but has there been much pushback or flack over the depictions of God, of a Yahweh figure on your covers of this album and the last?
Yeah, I mean, because you can't really depict God. It's impossible.
Right.
And we have the image, like the image on Goddamn Evil, and people said, what is this? Is that Zeus? Who is that?
Looks
And
kind of
then
like
on the new
that to me.
album, yeah. I mean, you do your best. We have an amazing artist. His name is Stan Decker. He's knocked it out of the park with all
Oh,
four.
yeah.
All four.
Exactly. That's what everybody says, that the album artwork recently has been top notch. And even if you do have an issue with the God figure, it's done amazingly art wise.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you can only do your best to portray God in an image according to what you might think, and that's what we did. But I mean, we're all going to get to heaven someday and realize that God may not look like what any of us believe he looks like. He may be something
Exactly.
completely. Who knows? Who cares? We just wanted to make a powerful statement with the artwork.
Yeah, I think for the mainstream crowd who probably don't know a lot about God or whatever, they just see it. They know what you're doing. So I think it's going to be those Christians who are kind of like, oh, you shouldn't be doing fake pictures of God. No great. But
and those Christians are always out there to say something
exactly.
about something, and we don't let that stop us or slow us down or sidetrack us. We just do what we feel led to do, and those that have a problem with it, oh well. Those that don't, great.
That's why I said there's always going to be somebody. There's always going to be something that they don't like. So I just didn't know how much of a backlash you get from things like that. So
Yeah, who the biggest critic and complainer about everything we do. He always finds something to complain about. You may know him. It's a guy by the name of Doug Van Pelt.
oh, he's a pain in the butt. I don't know what
He's such a pain.
He wanted to do the interview, but I wouldn't let him. I'm like, we can't trust you. I forgot I'm recording this. He's going to see this. Doug, we love you. Actually, he was one of the ones. He was one of the ones that I said, give me some ideas for some questions you all think about. And he actually threw that one about any kind of backlash for the images of God type thing. So he just wondered if there was any kind of pushback on that.
It's a great question. And actually, from time to time, yes, but the majority, no.
Yeah. So you all had mentioned in the bio that you pulled a song back from the 80s. At first, the question was, so what was it that was pulled back? But I since learned that was invitation only. I understand it resurrected from around 89, should have been on Against the Law. Totally doesn't sound like it would have fit on Against the Law at all. I'm just curious, did it change musically, or was that pretty much how it would have sounded back then? And maybe
it changed musically a little bit. Like the original started with the da-da-da, bum, 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 ba-da. It started with that riff in the tom groove. So it had more of a Panama feel to it right out of the box. We took it away from that a little more on this version. It was a little heavier. We didn't have the keyboard in the choruses, so it was definitely more Van Halen-ish in the past. We made it less Van Halen-ish now, but it was written in 1989, and it's all about, that song is all about the 80s, man. So for those folks that say, I wish you'd do some 80s, that's for them. And it definitely takes the album in a little different direction than all the other songs around it, but that's a good thing, as does This I Pray.
Right.
or how to fly. And I think that's important to do songs like that, to kind of break it up a little bit, so it's not just an overbearing, same old song and song again. I think it's important to break it up a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of that I think it's This I Pray is the one. Is that it's kind of got a almost a countryish twang a little. It kind of reminded me of one of the solo song you did with Radio on your solo album. It's like, uh-oh, is he bringing the country in? Are people going to push back on that? But it just kind of had that. You described it in an interview also about it just being a little different. So,
A lot of people, believe it or not, I've been reading a lot of comments, and not the majority, but a good number of people are saying that's their favorite, and not just regular folks, but metalheads. Like there's one guy in particular who loves the heavy stuff. Yahweh was his favorite song from Fallen. He loves the heavy stuff. And This I Pray is his favorite track on the album. It's a co-write. A friend of mine sent me the basic structure of the song, wanted me to sing on it with him on his album. And I said, man, this would make a killer Stryper ballad. And I wrote the chorus and wrote a couple extra verses. And went with that, man, and we made it a Stryper tune. And I'm really happy. It's kind of got a little bit of a gospel southern rock feel to it, almost like a little Leonard Skinner at times, and then it's got a Bon Jovi, Blaze of Glory kind of vibe to it. We love it, man. We're so happy that that's the ballad on this album.
I think I've lost your video.
Oh, you know what? You're going to get me back in 1 second. I'm ignoring the call. There you go.
There you are.
Yeah, someone was trying to call me in. I didn't want to touch the phone. The phone would probably fall, the light would go off, and I didn't want to do that. So
perfect. Now, I'm also reading, I guess you all are coming with a forthcoming Live in the Studio project, album, download, stream. What's the scoop on that?
Yeah, basically we went in during the pandemic, and the guys stayed here at the house for a couple of weeks. We quarantined. Then we went into the studio and we set up with 7 cameras, I think it was, and the same studio where we record the albums out with the same engineer. So we got amazing audio, album quality audio. And we recorded this album, the new album, from start to finish in sequence. And we're going to make it available with a bunch of B-roll footage of us talking about the songs, hanging out at the house. That's going to be coming in the next 6 to 8 weeks on demand, and through other formats as well. I don't know if it'll be through Amazon or it'll be through Netflix, or I'm not sure who it's going to be through or with, but you'll be able to rent it and or buy it. And it's going to be us live performing these songs, this album, which will never happen again, ever. We never play any album live in its entirety, but we're doing it. And then we also recorded To Hell with the Devil as well.
Really? Is that going to be a separate project?
That'll be a separate project. That'll come out a few months after this one.
You can do each album, right? Every album's going to be done now?
That's the plan, to go do every single album over the next few years. Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Almost like a re-record, which brings to the next question. Wasn't there supposed to be sometime? Are you all still thinking about doing a second re-record?
We are, man, but it gets to a point where there's just not enough time in the day.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, we talk about all sorts of things, but sometimes it takes longer to get to those things. A Christmas album, documentary, re-record, Second Coming 2 or Third Coming or whatever. We got an acoustic album we finally finished. It's going to come out next year. We're busy, and we've got so much on our plate, and we're getting to it. It's just a matter of being patient and, a matter of time.
Well, now you had mentioned that this live thing was done. Everybody was there. Is that how the album was recorded? Do you all always get together to do it, or because I know you're spaced out, or do you all still do a lot of stuff remote?
We always get together to do it. Every album, all the basic tracks, drums, bass, rhythm guitars, keyboards, background vocals. Those are always done in the same room with the same guys, the 4 of us, all together. It's about a 2-week process, recording. Then everybody goes home. I come here to my house. I record the vocals here at my house. I record my solos here at the house. Oz records his solos at home. Those are done remotely. And the only difference with this album from any other album was the mixing was remote. So we remotely mixed, high def feed, headphones. All the other albums were not done that way. I was there in the studio with Danny. But this time around, because of COVID, we weren't able to do that. So we did it remotely, and it worked out great because the album sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and I guess I could see that. I guess people are pushed. I see a lot of people online doing remote jams and stuff where the bands are all at their own homes. And I'm guessing if it's something that you all start doing, then some of these wish list items could probably be done remotely and knocked out some of these other projects.
Yeah, we would never do anything like you see
Not a new album, but
a lot of guys doing remote jams and recordings where they're literally all in different places.
right.
We won't go down that road because that's, that doesn't ever turn out at the highest quality.
Yes, it's for fun usually for these bands to do that. So
exactly, more for fun. But we're all about like really trying to keep the integrity of the quality in place. That's important to us. Like we don't want to compromise that.
So this live in the studio thing, I guess it kind of reminds me of, what Metallica did with Saint Anger, where you get the DVD with the album where it's got like them playing every song on the album kind of live. And
it's kind of like that. I mean, have you seen the show Live at Daryl's House?
Oh, with Daryl Hall?
Yeah.
Yes. I've seen occasionally. Right.
So the way this will look visually is very similar to that. It's literally us in a big wooden studio, all four of us in the same studio at the same time playing together.
Right.
Okay, but it's all recorded with individual tracks, so the sonic quality is outstanding.
Great, looking forward to that. So I know this is just coming out, but I mean, and I know touring's been a pain in the butt, but what does the near future hold? What are we seeing from Stryper? I mean, is it just going to be a lot of at-home stuff at this point, or are you able to get out there at all, or?
Probably the rest of this year for sure, at-home stuff. We're doing a number of events over the next few months, meet and greets. We're doing listening parties today and tomorrow and Tuesday. We got a lot of stuff planned. There's no live dates happening this year. They've all been postponed or canceled. Next year, we've got plans to go to Australia and to do some select dates here and there. But again, we don't know. We're hearing stories about the possibility of 2021 getting postponed.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I mean, I hope not. But, if that happens, we'll get creative. We'll figure out ways around it like we always have. That's the thing about Stryper, man. We will find a way. You're just not going to stop the rock. You're not going to stop. You're not going to stop Stryper because we're always going to find a way to make it happen.
Well, you'll have all that extra time to do another album now. Just
Exactly.
Maybe a couple albums.
Personally, I've got a bunch of projects I'm going to be working on. I'm finally singing the Sunbomb album with Tracy Guns. I got to finish that, and then I'm going to go in and add some solos and a few vocals here and there and remix the Reborn album and release that in its original state when it was a solo album. I thought that'd be really fun to do. And then also next year, I'm doing a new project with Nathan James and Joe Hoekstra, and I'm doing another Sweet and Lynch album, and then another solo album. So literally back to back, boom, boom, boom. I'm doing those. And Stryper will probably start work on a new album by the end of the year or the beginning of 2022.
So, I mean, obviously you're churning this stuff out. Is music your life? You don't work a side job or anything. I know money's a big, don't even want to talk about money, but I mean, do you do pretty good to be able to survive with that? I mean, I know some people who really want to. Is it mainly your main bread and butter?
It's my only job right now. And I don't view it as a job, but I mean, breaking it down that way, it's my only job. I don't work a side job.
Right, okay.
Haven't had to since 2003. Pretty much.
The family fields.
I worked at the family business. Everyone knows about that back in the 90s, but basically from 03 to now, really to 01 to now, I haven't worked a side job. I've done things on the side. I mean, I work. Believe me, like when I released my Truth album, I was in my basement packaging those up and mailing them every day for months. And, you know, I work my butt off, and I'm always doing something, but I just figure out a way to make things work. And I've been very blessed to be able to have a roof over our heads and pay the bills and eat fairly well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're one of those ones that, I mean, one of my other favorite artists is Neil Morris. I don't know how familiar you are with his music, but every other month he's got a new project out. I'm like, he's like, you know, the Michael Sweet of Prague. Or you're the Neil Morris metal.
Yeah. Well, because he loves it so much, you know, he loves it. It's his passion.
Yeah.
And as long as that passion's there, you're going to keep doing it.
Especially if you have access to like a home studio or something, you've got the ability to be creative all the time. So.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm very blessed that not only can I record, and I have the capability to record here at home and whatnot and with other studios in the area, but I have the labels that want to work with me. You know, I have three labels that I work with consistently. And it's really a blessing, man. I mean, a lot of artists don't have that. So, you know, I never take it for granted. Those labels could go bye-bye, and I could be talking to you in a year saying I don't have any labels to work with.
Yeah.
But I'd still find a way. I'd make my own label. I'd release it. I'm not worried about it. Where there's a way, I know there's always a way to do it and make it happen.
All right. Well, I know we're limited. I don't know if you have rushing to go, but do you have any final thoughts, or you want to give a real brief rundown on some of the song ideas, or anything you want to talk about the new album? And
well, I tell you, man, I know what favorites are mine. Everybody's got their own favorites, but you know, the songs I keep repeating obviously are songs like "Blood from Above," "Do Unto Others," "Divider," "Let Him In." I love "How to Fly." I don't know if that's going to be everyone's favorite, but it's one of my favorites because it's just so different for us. I love "This I Pray." You know, I'm really pleased with how the album turned out. I've got quite a few favorites on it. I hope everyone feels the same. It's exciting. Today's release day, and it's really exciting to see that there's still a lot of support out there, and a lot of people are buzzing about what's going on with the band. So that's really cool. And here we are almost 37 years later, and we're still doing it, man. And we never take it for granted. It's such a gift, and we're so thankful for that gift.
Yeah, it's been great, and I know the fans love it. I'm sitting here actually waiting for the Amazon guy to drive up with my copy, and I got back into the whole vinyl craze a couple years ago, and as soon as y'all posted it, I jumped on the site to get the limited colored one, and it was sold out like that, just gone.
Oh wow! Well,
so
good. I'm glad you got. Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't get it, so I didn't get it. I'm like, crud. So I ran over to Frontiers and I bought it. Got the yellow, you know what, like 100 copies. Bought it, ordered it, blah blah. Then, a month or so later, the COVID USPS restrictions hit, and I got a notification from Frontline saying we can't send to the U.S. anymore. We have to switch to DHL, another shipping company, and the shipping is going to be more than twice as much. And
man.
I'm like, I told him just cancel it because I can't see paying $40 shipping for a $25 album. So I had to settle for a black vinyl at Amazon. And it's coming today before 5 or 8 o'clock, they said. So,
well, I'll tell you what, it'll sound the same. It won't sound
I know. That's the black. Actually, a lot of people say black sounds better. I mean, nowadays color sounds great too. It's that collector mentality. You know, it's only 100 copies. I want one of those, but and the cost was the same. If the cost was more, I usually just stick with black. But
I get it. I get it. Well, bring that vinyl to a show, and we'll all sell it, and then it'll be in terms of a collector item.
Exactly. Yeah, I would love to do that. You all need to come back though. You all don't come to the area quite as much, but like I said, you came to the Outer Banks to a little fairly smaller club, and it was great.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I've seen you quite a few times over the years, but it seems like I'm always in a place living where, not a lot of bands get to come to as often. So
I hear you, brother. And you know what? I just wanted to say too, make sure you tell Doug hello for me, and thank you for the time today and taking the time to talk to me. and for all the support. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he asked anybody in the crew, hey, who wants to do Michael? And I'm like, well, I've done it like the past 4 times in the past years, but if nobody else wants to, I'll talk to him again. I was the first one to respond, and so here I am. But yeah, he likes to get us out there, so he's not handling all of it. He did review the album first and gave it a stunning review, and then said somebody else handled the interview. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad. You guys have always been behind us, man, and we're very thankful. Very.
Yes. All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, brother. Just stay safe out there. God bless you. And once you get your vinyl and you listen to it all the way through, let me know what you think.
Well, I've listened to it because the record label did send me the thing. So I've listened to it, online all week. So, yeah, it's always better on vinyl. So,
of course.
I'll be cranking that up when it shows. I was sitting here looking at my window thinking, watch it come while I'm talking to you. I'm like, right back and run out there and grab it. But anyway. All right. Well, then I guess we will let you go and look forward to the future projects. I'm really excited to hear about this, live in the studio thing. That sounds really fun. So
absolutely, man. We are too. So the toughest part with all these projects is waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Having the patience is like such a waiting game. It's like, you want it to come out now, but that's just not practical.
And I know it's a movie, but you need to release it on vinyl too,
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we're actually going to be doing that. We'll be at some point releasing it on CD and vinyl.
Oh, okay.
And downloadable as well, and streaming as well.
Oh, okay. Making a music project type thing.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, it's great talking to you, and I will let you go. I know you're crazy busy. Everything going on.
All right, brother. Hey, look, you stay safe and have a great rest of the day and weekend. And enjoy the holiday, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, brother.